Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. I am Ayuba Ilya, and I am super excited that you joined us this morning. Thank God, it's Friday.
Indeed. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak on Trust Television, reaching you live from the nation's capital city, Abuja. How was your night, Ayuba?
Well, I try to have a good night rest, as usual. Our work sometimes begins in the night, really. People see us on air in the morning, but you begin to work, late nights just to get things prepared for the morning. So that was how it was. I was able to have at least, I think, about 6 hours of sleep.
Well, that's fair. That's
fair
fair for a
enough.
journalist. That's fair.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And today we have a lot really on our table to talk about and to bring to your, bring to the fore, because quite a lot is really going on. You'll agree with me. Today is World Toilet Day.
Yes,
first of all.
World Toilet Day. A day, set aside to create awareness about open defecation and also to create awareness and map out plans for environmental sanitation as well.
Yes, and then we'll be having Dr. Andy Uka, Deputy Director, Environmental Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, to discuss, some of the dangers of having this open defecation. It's a major problem.
Indeed,
environmentally, and it exposes quite a lot of people, especially children, to diseases and infections and all of that. So we want to look at all the perspectives around that. And also, we'll be talking to an artist as well,
Yes,
Abubakar
a pencil
Bashir.
artist, actually.
Yes.
I've not seen many pencil artists, have you?
Well, in recent times, I think they are evolving. Gradually, they are evolving. We'll get to meet him and have a chat with him for him to talk to us about, his experience so far, engaging as a pencil artist. We also have in the studio Desmond Utomeng, a TV journalist and host, publisher of Fresh News. He will be giving us perspectives on the stories that made the headlines this morning in the studio. So, you see, we have quite a lot you don't want to miss. For now, let's take a look at today in history. What happened on the 19th of November in world history. Please stay with us.
Well, quite a number of events, that happened on the 19th of November. We have Equal Opportunity Day. There's also International Men's Day. What's that day? Oh, International Men's Day.
I mean, how many Women's Day do we have in a year? I mean, if you talk about that, I would take it to be that it's a day set aside to celebrate men, and to let men have their day in the best way that they can. Men have. I mean, men go through quite a lot. Let me be a spokesperson here.
Okay.
They go through quite a lot. The responsibilities of raising children, taking care of a family, taking care of a woman. It's quite a lot. And a lot is really depending on you. You are expected to provide leadership. You are expected to provide guidance and direction. For not just in your family, but even in the world at large, in the society and all of that. So men go through a lot doing that, making sure that everyone's need is met.
But I don't know, I don't get to see much of the celebration around that day. Is it because
again, that's part of the issue. I mean, men are supposed to be celebrated by the women because because the truth is, a man may not have the luxury of having all the time to sit and then make it a celebration without someone really saying, "Hey, sit here, forget about the work, forget about taking care of the family for today. We will do everything." And all of that. So that sends some kind of message to the man to know that he is highly appreciated. So I think it's something that we should all do. Also, if you look at other men, really struggle. And in the process, because of for instance, the African society, men are not really seen to be people who will complain, about issues that they are dealing with. Men are not seen to be people who will open up about, issues that they are dealing with. It is assumed, well, as a man, you should be strong, and then you should, always be seen very confident and all of that. But look, men go through stuff, and it's important that we set aside today to celebrate
men. Earlier, before we started the show, Paper Review was talking about if a woman, uses a bottle to hit a man, it's seen as self-defense, which means there's a form of, stereotyping around violence and all of that. Are you of that?
Yes, there is. I believe so. Because let me just paint a scenario here. If anything happens here, and there's maybe between a man and a woman, when people come around, the first person they will pay attention to is the woman. The first person, even if she is behind, whatever happened, even if she's the one attacking or, beating someone, she will be the first person they will give attention to. Are you okay? What happened? All of that.
Isn't this because of the vulnerability?
Exactly. So, quite a lot, to look at that. I'm not a genderist, okay. But let's just leave that. Another, story, I would say another commemoration that is being marked today is the Opportunity Day, World Opportunity Day. That's also very important. If you look at, the inequality in Nigeria, if you look at the divide in Nigeria, I think it's very important that we look back and see how are we doing in terms of wealth creation and distribution, so that we can all, have some fair, standard of living, as Nigerians as a whole. So it's also a very important day.
Right. Okay, let's move on, to the next segment of the program, which is the paper review segment. But before that, let's take this quick short break.
But in a situation where you find that they look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
All right, if you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. Now, let's start with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The Daily Trust newspaper is leading with the story, Train Passengers Stranded. NRC loses millions as unions strike. One of the riders stayed traveling to Kaduna from Abuja by road, risky. Another states tough time for intracity commuters in Lagos. We are engaging unions, that's according to the management. And you'll see a pictorial right there that shows some of the workers carrying placards with inscriptions. You'd also see an empty Idu train station that yesterday we showed you as well on the program. And on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper, you'd see I am waiting NSAS reports from states. Buhari tells US. You'd also see on page 45 again, Kwankwaso Wali Field Forces, PDP to postpone Northwest Congress. You'd also see Nigeria, US sign $2.17 billion deal on education, health orders.
Okay. Well, quite interesting stories, you may say. The one about the president waiting for the NSAS report. Well, we are all waiting for the final outcome, of all the panels that were set. From what we know so far, about 28 panels were set across the country. The Lagos has submitted its own report, which is causing a whole lot of reactions. And other states have also submitted their reports. Others are still in the process of putting it together and all of that. So we continue to follow that for you on the program. All right. Now let's take a look at other papers this morning. And this time around, we look at The Guardian. And on The Guardian newspaper, we have the lead story says, #NSAS report, why we are yet to act, Buhari tells Blinken. Recall that yesterday, United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visited Nigeria, which is one of the 3 African countries that he will be visiting, although from what we know, he has visited Kenya as well. Below the lead story, you would see the writer, Blinken, we insist on accountability, addressing victims' grievances. Nigeria must be redesignated on religious violators list. U.S. agency kicks. FG Oyebode Oseni Huriwa react to removal from religious freedom blacklist. And you also see Buhari signs climate change, AMCON amendment bills into law. Insecurity, lower oil production, slow economic growth in the 3rd quarter. And then at the very bottom of the Guardian newspaper, 155 days after, detained IPOP spy girl, Gloria Okori, arraigned in court. So these are the stories that made the headlines on The Guardian this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. On page 26, you'd find Kanu alleges inhumane treatment in detention. The Daily Sun is leading with the story, fears in Bielsa over gas leak. Bandits now use radio frequency walkie-talkie. Victim narrates 29-day ordeal with kidnappers in Niger State. You'd also see on page 27, #NSAS report. I'm waiting for Sanwo-Olu, other governors, according to Buhari. And on page 26, you'd find land restoration. Noge, Enugu community thank Ugwai for promoting justice. These are some of the lead stories on The Sun this morning. All
right. Well, that's about what we have. Not to lose sight of the story that says strike. ASU, FG reach truce as Gbajabiamila intervenes. That's on the Daily Trust. So we missed that earlier on. It's a very interesting story if you look at the conversations that has been ongoing. Well, let's get perspectives on this. We told you that we have in the studio a TV host and a journalist, Desmond Otome, who will be giving us perspectives on the stories that made the headlines. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, now let's begin with the whole ASU federal government thing. Again, we are seeing the back and forth. ASU is threatening to go back, on strike again. And then the federal government is saying, well, we have issues with implementing because there's some kind of disagreement, between ASU and the other unions on the sharing formula for the monies that has been approved and all of that. Now, there seems to be a truce. Are we sure that this truce will not, again, be dissolved at the end of the day, just like
the truce becomes troubled?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's something to cheer about at the end of the day, because probably by yesterday it would have been a different story. It would have been a different kind of analysis here. We would have been talking about the palpable fear in the air as to whether or not the strike was going on or was going to hold, and how long the children in school were going to stay out of school. Again, considering what happened the previous year, where they were out for about 9 months, and COVID also came in and all of that. So this time around, it's good for us to read this morning that a truce has been brokered, and to also recall that the Speaker of the House of Reps, person of Femi Gbajabiamila, was really instrumental to this truce that was brokered. I saw some of the news yesterday, and I think there was also some meeting with the Minister of Finance, the Minister of State for Education. We are all in the meeting, and perspectives were given as to why some of this money has not got into ASU, and how much also has also been released. I think the Minister of Finance spoke about 18 billion that has been released, and some other money that will also get to ASU very, very soon. So it's money issue we are talking about here. I think it's about 1.3 trillion. That is the total amount of money that ASU placed on the doorstep of the federal government for infrastructural revampment of the tertiary institution. But you know very well, the country does not have money, whether we like it or not. And the indices are there. If the country has money, they won't be going everywhere looking for money to borrow.
Is it a problem of money, not having money, or is it a problem of priority here?
I think money is an issue. When you don't have money, or when you don't have sufficient money, you start prioritizing. Economics, we talk about opportunity cost, all right? Start talking about scale of preference. Which one are you going to take first? If you don't mind, you use the word prioritization, all right? Which one are you going to take first as against the other? But if you have sufficient money or excess money, what do? You just spend the money. You spread the money. You remember there was a time in this country where they talk about our problem was not money, but how to spend it. But this time around, I think the reverse is the case.
So
right? Because there are so much challenges out there.
Is it that Nigeria is a poor country, going by this analysis that you're giving?
I don't want to say Nigeria is a poor country, but I think we don't have the kind of money we used to have. And there are reasons for this. One, we are not producing full capacity with oil, right? Even the OPEC quotas that we have had, we've never produced to optimal. Secondly, the price of oil has also been fluctuating. There was a time it was up to $120 per barrel. But today, when it goes just a little above $70, we are happy. And when we are happy for that, the burden comes with it because we don't refine the product. Whatever was supposed to be the gains that we make is also eroded by the subsidy that the government has to pay for the landing cost of refined petroleum product.
But some will say, why oil? Does it have to be oil? What happens to the other?
Of course, I was going to talk about all of those reasons, but that is the mainstay of the Nigerian economy at the moment, talking about oil. Without oil, nothing we do today, all right? More than 80% of our internal revenue comes from oil. So until we are able to diversify the economy, even though this word has now become a cliche that talk about diversification of the economy, some will even tell you that the economy is already diversified, all right? But we are just not raking in the needed resources from it. But whatever semantics, whatever English, whatever jargons people want to use about this, I think there is need for the country to have revenues coming from different aspects of the economy, not just from the oil. Agriculture is supposed to be one of them, but with insecurity in the country lately, you know what has happened with most people unable to cultivate the land, and even when they do, Sometimes the bandit and the security threat also take away the gains that would have been coming from there. The CBN has tried to like intervene in so many ways with the anchor borrowers program and all that, but the gains are not coming like expected because of some other forces or other factors, if you don't mind. Solid mineral is another area we should be talking about. But how well have we been able to also harness these solid minerals? If you know and if you recall very well, the crisis that happened in how banditry started in Zamfara State, for example, and the Northwest, it was all tied to the solid mineral, particularly the gold. All right, and today you know how terrible that zone is in terms of insecurity, that the Nigerian security operatives are doing so much to make sure that they curb the insecurity in that area. Of course, there are other things. Have we also paid enough attention to tourism in this country? All right, with insecurity in the land, nobody wants to come visit your country for the sake of tourism. That means the capital that would have been coming in that area is stalled because of insecurity. There's so much that needs to be spoken about here. Entertainment is another area that is giving so much to Nigeria. That area is just like on autopilot. The young people are doing wonders there. I don't know how much of social media you follow. A young Nigerian by name Davido came up 2 days ago, just said he wanted to celebrate his birthday, celebrate me, and the whole social media was gone. And within 24 hours, he has raked in about 150 million. That people are now beginning to copy the model, you know, and all that. But that is just
all right. Now talking about revenue,
I really, I've been meaning, to ask this, still regarding, the ASU strike and all of that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the students.
Yes.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic came, we always have incessant strikes, that happen in the country. And then the COVID-19 pandemic came. This affected, the curriculums in schools, and most of these universities, when we came back from the COVID-19, we're trying to, meet up to that curriculum. How does this, negatively affect the students?
So much. You have a course that's supposed to ordinarily take you 4 years, and sometimes you have to spend 6 to 7 years in school. That already has affected you. All right. I've listened to some interviews during when these children were on strike, and some of the TV stations went out there to take their reactions and all that. You could feel the pains in their eyes. Some people wanted to plan their life. Within the next 4 years, I'm out of school, I have this to do, I have that to do. But unfortunately, they are unable to do it. All right. So the calendar is already altered. It's enough trauma for the children. But even beyond that is the fact that the parents who are supposed to also just probably take up that burden of themselves in 4 years are also forced to stress beyond that time of they're expected. But like I said earlier on, it's a traumatic experience for anybody who has to stay in school for like 6 to 7 years, whereas 4 years was supposed to be the stipulated time.
All right, now talking about revenue generation. Here again, we are about to lose millions of naira as workers of railway, decided that look, they are down in tools from yesterday. What's your thoughts around this?
Again, money comes into play here, because they are talking about their remunerations, they are not well paid, they need to be well taken care of, and all of that. But again, if you look at the railway system today, I think it's one area that we really need to invest so much in, because we've seen the benefits. The benefits in terms of how, with insecurity, for example, in a country, traveling on certain routes, people have now begun to rely on the rail transportation. Is one area that you don't want to joke with. Then secondly, with railway, you're able to carry some very heavy duty product. All right, unlike what happens with the vehicles. The road dilapidates so quickly because of the pressure that comes from some of these heavy items that are carried on the road. But with the rail, you're able to move these very heavy commodities. All right, so it's another reason that we need to invest in the rail. Then again, it's also very fast. Some people have spoken about how easy and comfortable it is for them to travel from Abuja to Kaduna, and from Abuja to Itakbe, through Lokoja and others to Delta State and all of that. For those that also are looking at the Lagos-Ibadan axis of it, they're also enjoying it. So the comfort is also there. If you go to most developed countries, for example, one of the major transport system is rail. Whether the subway or the regular train is just there. It's not something that we should joke with. I think the fact that we have not given it the attention, or we didn't give it the attention it required over the years, was misplaced on the part of our leaders. All right, but it's good that we have woken up to the responsibility and to the reality that we need to invest in that area. But as it is, the government needs to listen to these people. All right, give them some of their dues, give them maybe better condition of service, and I think they will go back to work.
Okay. You know, another story of interest is about, you know, the NSAS report, where we are seeing the president saying, I am awaiting NSAS report from states. Buhari tells the U.S. What is your thought about this?
It was a very smart response, I must say. As funny, as questionable as some people have tried to look at it, but I think it was a very smart response. Because the NSAS protests, the panel report that came out from the judicial panel in Lagos has been damning, you might say. That I was wondering how the government was going to respond to it. But when I saw that response, I thought it was very, very smart, because really, it gives the government enough time to appraise everything totally. Even though they could have just come out to say, okay, fine, yes, some things went wrong, all right, and there is need for us to look at it and probably. But again, you also know that Nigeria is a federation. And as a federation, the states are supposed to be independent in carrying out certain responsibility. The states were the ones that set up these judicial panels of inquiry, all right? They are the ones to take the report, come up with a white paper, all right, and now determine whether to even prosecute some of these people. It is where there is now a need for the federal government to come in, because if you, for example, want to prosecute a police officer or a soldier, it must be with recourse to the federal government. At that point, you probably need the federal government. But I think at this time, really, it is still a state matter.
Exactly, which is for some legal pundits the crux of the matter. How do you take an issue, a state judicial panel, for instance, making recommendations for disciplinary action against people who are working for the federal government? So it becomes very difficult in terms of implementation. What are your expectations in those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there must be a common ground. There must be a meeting point between the state and the federal government. They don't work in isolation. They don't work in vacuum. All right, the federal government and the states have a meeting point always. You cannot say because a crime was committed in government house in a state that the federal government does not have a say in it. The FCC will move there, and the FCC is an agency of the federal government. That means there is a meeting point. All right. So at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, when the report, when the white paper is out, and a recommendation probably is sent to the federal government, and action will be taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's been quite a mention of this white paper. To a layman, he doesn't actually know what a white paper means. What really is a white paper?
It's more or less like an endorsement of the report that came out, the recommendation that came out from that panel that was set up. The government has the right to say, no, we are not accepting this your recommendation. And if that happens, and they didn't, you know, when a recommendation is given by a committee that you set up, they submit a report to you. That endorsement that you have accepted this report and you are going to implement it, all right, give it a stamp of approval. So the white paper is more or less a stamp of approval on whatever the panel has done. As it is now, that report can still die a natural death.
Okay.
The Nigerian way.
Okay.
Which is
it is very possible.
Which is one of the concern of
it is very possible.
The NSAS protesters that look, I mean, this whole thing, we've seen it before.
Yes.
You know, a committee will be set up, and then after that, there'll be a white paper, and then in the process of that coming up with that white paper, that's where the real thing happens. Some feel that, okay, it's probably going to be altered. You know, some of the recommendations that were made.
In any case, even after
and then at the end of the day, it may not see the light of day. So
I agree with you. Even after the white paper has been released, if the government doesn't want to implement, they still will not implement. and action will still not be taken.
But
what's
this,
the danger of this?
Exactly.
Really?
Very well. I think we should first of all look at what are the gains. The gains are that the young people have now been vindicated that really there was shooting on that very day. That is one of the things that the report has done. The young people are now vindicated that some of them were actually killed during that October 20 incident at the Lekki toll gate. They've been vindicated. Even though the military tried to defend themselves, put up some very flimsy excuses and some stories that didn't meet standards at that time. Because if you remember, you could remember the track of lies that they told to cover up all of these things.
It was fake news, and
that
it was
fake
not true,
news.
it was
They even
social
took some
media.
of the newspapers. I don't know if Daily Trust was part of the newspapers then, that they tagged fake news on their cover and posted it on their Twitter handles and all
In
of
fact,
those
the
things.
Minister of Information described it as a
Repeatedly
phantom
debunked.
massacre.
Yes.
It's a phantom massacre. It
Yeah.
only happened on social media.
I don't have much problem with the Minister of Information as much as I do with the Nigerian Army. The reason is simple. The Minister of Information was not there. But the Nigerian Army is an agency of government. And they went out there, all right, visited mayhem on Nigerian youth that were protesting with Nigerian flags on their hands, sitting on the floor, reciting the national anthem, armless. And they were killed. Some of them were killed. And they came out to tell us that nothing happened. They described the video as doctored. That's a live stream video that was on Instagram as doctored. They came out to say nothing happened. As a matter of fact, they deny it. So if that was a report that was given to the Minister of Information, you can't blame him too much. That is to some extent, all right? But why did the military has to lie? That is the question. Because their responsibility is to protect lives and property, is to defend the territorial integrity of the country. Of course, they don't just come to the streets to do that as often until they are called in. For whatever reason they were called in, fine, if they needed to come out. But now that they have come out, their job was not to kill those people.
Now,
and if there was one person that was killed, the state must rise up and defend that one person. I have been a victim of police brutality, for example.
Okay, so now the reports also said that, look, the invitation of the military to that scene was unwarranted, given the fact that there was the crowd there was not posing any kind of threat, and that there were other threats in other parts of Lagos, but the troops were not deployed to those locations, and except Lekki Tollgate and all of that.
Yeah,
So
we can debate all of that, whether they needed to come or they didn't need to come. But my position is this: even if they needed to come, they didn't have any reason, any right to take the life of anybody.
does the Nigerian police has the capacity right now to suppress insurrection as we have it now? And if they don't, what lessons have we learned?
Well, I think there is my fear about the last NSAS protests is that the government may never allow that happen any longer. That is my fear. That's my concern. I said it last year when this happened that if I were part of the protest directly, if I were, of course we know it was a leaderless protest. If, for example, there was an identified leader and we could pass words across to those people, I would have asked those people to go back home after the president addressed the country and said that they were accepting the 545 demand. The protest would have ended at that point. But of course, at some level, it became political. We must admit this. As much as we want to talk about what the government didn't do right, what the security did wrong, the protest lingered for too long for me. I thought that at that point that the demand we accepted, we should have gone back home, probably give what you call a timeline within which we expect the government to implement those demands. If they don't implement the demand, we'll come back to the streets. But the fact that the protest was sustained and some people were now trying to take advantage of the protest, going political and all of those things, asking the president should resign, should go, and all of those kind of chants, for me, were unwarranted.
Now,
If we're talking about NSAS protest, I know that was a metaphor for so many things, all right? But we didn't need to lose focus in that protest.
Before the military were invited, to that scene, we saw that there were police officers there.
Yes.
Right? And in some cases, hoodlums and thugs
Yes.
will come, attack protesters, and the police will be aloof, watching, and you wonder what exactly is going on. Is it that the police officers do not have the capacity to protect the protesters as provided by the law, or is it just an act of dereliction?
If you look at it, after that October 20th incident, even the police, some of them were not putting on their uniform because they were also on the track. I don't know if you recall that when the hoodlums came in, but we must recall perfectly that the hoodlums, in quotes, didn't come before the October 20th. It was after that Lekki incident that everything went out of hand. All right. Before then, the young guys that were protesting at the Lekki toll gate were very organized. Even when some of them had issues, they contributed money among themselves, took care of them. They were very organized, even without leaders. Very organized. All right. Contributed money to a particular woman they said was selling, I think, granules along there. They helped her with, they were so organized. They were trying to redefine what leadership should be. If leaders since 1960 have not been able to give them the kind of future, the kind of leadership that they wanted, let's at least give them, show them what we want from the leader. And they were doing that, all right, until that particular incident of that October 20th. That was where everything took a turn. The burning, the arson in so many parts of Lagos where businesses were destroyed and all that didn't happen until after the 20th of October. Even the Abuja incident didn't happen until after the 20th incident. So at that point, the police didn't have much control over what was happening with the protests. Of course, some of them were running for their dear lives. Even the report of the judicial panel that was released from Lagos also contained some number of police officers or security operatives that were killed. So they were on that trail themselves. So for that very reason, you cannot really tell. That is why you don't need crisis of that magnitude. All right? Once it starts, it goes out of hand. And it takes so much to bring it under control.
Some of the protesters, most of them just wanted the president to address them at that point.
But he did.
But he did not.
He did. He did. The president, there was an address. The president said...
They wanted that to come, when they started the protest. They just wanted to hear from him, but he didn't say anything.
This is what I'm saying, all right? I followed that protest very well because I was an interested party. I was an interested party, not because I was on the streets of Lagos, but because I had suffered police brutality. So I really wanted to see how this will end. I still hold the record of the only journalist that has taken Nigerian police to court and won against them. All right? That is on record. So I wanted to see what has happened or what was going to happen. So you recall that even the police IG received Davido and his people, and they accepted the 545. The president also addressed, he said, "We have heard you loud and clear." If you recall that line, there was a briefing by Mr. President. I heard that also. So at that point, for me...
Was that a press statement? Or
it wasn't a press statement.
Actually
it was a broadcast. Yeah. So I heard that then. And if that was what it was, as at that time, that softened my heart to some extent. That, okay, fine, the benefit of doubt. Even though we've not really been given reasons to trust the words of government over the years. All right, like I always want to make reference to since 1960. Even though we have not really been given reasons, because government tells you one thing and they do another. All right, but having spoken, what do? You have to at least allow them.
Finally, just for us to round up, we have to learn lessons from this. At what point do you say, okay, the crowd is becoming violent, we need to deploy military into this matter? At what point do you do that? Or is it just by mere citing a group of young people gathered together for a protest?
Unfortunately, that we have to, it will be at the discretion of the security operatives, but I want to say here that the crowd we had at Lekki toll gate was not violent. And if that was not violent, so it didn't warrant the invitation of the military. I know they just wanted to get the boys off the streets. That was why those who invited them, but there was absolutely no need for it. I think some words of persuasion still would have helped. Persuade those young people to go off the streets, all right? Keep re-echoing what the president has said, that they have heard, and they were going to act. I think that would have done. But whoever also passed the information across to Mr. President, because there was this narrative too that it was going to they were going to overthrow the government and all of those things. None of those narrative also came into the picture. Then who probably passed those information, and if they had enough security report as to that very reason.
Do you think that that's part of the political hijack that we are talking about?
I wouldn't know. Unfortunately, we wouldn't know all that happened behind the closed door. But whoever sowed those kind of a narrative probably may not have also done enough. But of course, sometimes, somehow, I think they also have enough reasons, because some people were already talking about President must resign and all that. As when this happens, and talking about the what do you call it, the Arab Spring. All right, the narrative of the Arab Spring was also brought into it. Some people were saying that this government must come down and all of those things. So if that was the case, you also may not want to blame the government who wants to fight to maintain law and order. But I must say, the Nigeria army didn't have any reason to have shot a live bullet at that venue. If it was a blank bullet, of course we would have understood. If nobody was killed, we would have understood. But even if they didn't shoot a live bullet there, the fact that you're already shooting, there could be stampede, considering the number of persons that were there. That is why they didn't need to go the way they did. And of course, they chose night to also go there. It raises more questions than answer. Just yesterday, I must tell you, the way the Nigerian army sometimes behave against the people, all right, we suffered in their hands. My staff went to Old Parade Ground to go cover the NCDC, I think, third launch of the vaccine thing. And just close, you know that it's close to the Nigerian Army headquarters, all right? There was one of the Nigerian Army officers, one named Korede Mary is her name, and she was driving behind my driver. And I think I was trying to pull back because there was traffic in front, and there was a little dent on her car. Guess what she did? She personally impounded our official vehicle and locked it inside their complex. Took the key from the driver. I say, you don't take laws into your hands. You don't have that power. Confiscated the cameras. You don't do that. If your car has been bashed for any reason, what do? You either settle, demand for a repair, or if push comes to shove, you call in the police. You are not even the police. But that was what he did. That is excessive. That is people becoming power drunk. That is what you see with our security operatives in this country. The police does it. The army does it, or they do it rather. All right. So if this is what happens broad daylight, all right, at such an event, what do you think could happen in some lonely areas where people cannot protect themselves? I recalled earlier, I told you earlier on that, for example, I'm a victim of police brutality. It was in Area 3 here, in Abuja, that it did. It brought the light. There was a protest going on. A journalist with camera and a midget covering an event became the victim at the end of the day because they wanted to cover what they have done. They didn't want those things reported. That's the fate Nigerians suffer in the hands of these people. So when the young people went out there to go protest against SARS, the killings by SARS, they were not doing it because they were too happy doing it. They were not happy going on the street. They were doing it because they have had too many people suffer, and you don't know who next is going to be a victim. Right. But I must say this, the government must listen to the people. I know the president has said that he's waiting for all the reports from the state. That is very good. I will agree with him in that area. But when eventually all the reports come out, he should please take the action that will solve this problem once and for all. Because Nigerians need to have security operatives they can call their own, that they will be confident of when they see them on the street, not those that will come against them and kill them at will.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts with us. We have to wrap it up here for today. We hope to have you again on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right, we've been speaking with Desmond Otume. He is a broadcast journalist and publisher of Fresh News here in the studio, giving us perspectives on the stories that made the headlines. We'll go on a short break now, and then when we come back, we will continue our discussions. Please stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the TrustTV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search TrustTV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. Well, today is World Toilet Day and official United Nations International Observance Day on 19th November to inspire action to tackle the global sanitation crisis. Now, worldwide, 4.2 billion people live without safely managed sanitation, and around 673 million people practice open defecation. Now, before we go into discussions and take a look at perspectives, revolving around the World Toilet Day, let's take a look at this report packaged by one of our reporters.
Environmental protection. In Nigeria, open defecation is a common practice that has become a menace in the society. As part of efforts to curb this, some public toilets have been established by private individuals.
The public toilet here wasn't established specifically for business or monetary gains, but for the purpose of helping the masses, keeping the environment clean and protecting the overall health of the people. If one wants to use the toilet or take a bath, we usually charge 50 naira for these services. Sometimes, you walk past the road and you see people urinating or defecating by the side of the road in broad daylight, and it is an unpleasant sight, offensive to the nose and unfair to other passers. Whatever the person passes out is considered waste product and can be harmful to the health of others. So, this is why we built this public toilet, to reduce such menace in order to protect the health of the people. I frequent this public toilet a lot. It is clean, it is easily accessible, and there is availability of both hot and cold water. You can take your bath or use the toilet for a service fee of 15 naira. Good?
Meanwhile, some Nigerians implore the government to provide mobile toilets in strategic places for easy access.
What I feel talk about this public toilet of 18 is that, like, I'm a victim even as I speak now. Just about 2 minutes before I reach this place, I won't urinate. So a particular security say man no urinate. Even as I dey here, people still they worry me where we're here. So, but I know how to help myself. But when they beg government make them do for us, we say for Lagos, I dey see most mobile toilets. If they fit do them for us for inside town here, we be Abuja here. Do them at least junction by junction. It go dey easy for we. At least we will be the masses. We no get offices or inside town here. To at least if we dey heavy for road, we go feel know how to assist ourselves.
I think about 12 million persons can't even access toilets, public toilets, and I think it's very wrong. Our government should endeavor to do the right thing by providing public toilets for individuals. I understand some are actually available, but are not enough. Because you find that people are actually abusing the FCT. I think government should do more to actually enlighten the public and ensure that we do the right thing by maintaining sanitary hygiene.
In places like this, we can make provision. I mean, in complexes like this, where people come to do business daily, there should be toilets where people can ease themselves daily. And the people who own the complex should make sure when people come, they give them access, because it's a natural thing. When they approach, somehow they want to discharge, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, it's very, very relevant because if we have it all the strategic places, that will sort of save us from all these infections here and about. It's very, very important. So I believe government can do something about it by providing it in strategic places where it will be easy for people to access, and the money not very expensive to pay. To be very, very okay. And maintenance. But maintenance will be the problem of this country.
Toilets are important because access to a safe functioning toilet has a positive impact on public health, human dignity, and personal safety. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, there you have it. A cross-section of Nigerians, talking to us about the World Toilet Day and the need for toilets, and the need for us to also end open defecation. I mean, how do we end open defecation if people do not, have toilets and all of that? And that's why we have an expert in the studio, Dr. Andy Uka. He is the Deputy Director, Environmental Officers Registration Council, to talk to us about this. Good morning, and it's good to have you join us.
I'm
all right.
Deputy Registrar.
Okay, Deputy Registrar. Yes, okay, I beg your pardon. Now, let's talk about this day. Today is World Toilet Day, and we know the role that toilets play in our individual lives. They're very, very crucial in making sure that we have a sane environment, a decent environment where people can live, healthy and all of that. But it's, I would say, sad that sometimes you find people living without even in houses without toilets and all of that. Why do you think that that is happening here?
Okay, actually, there are many reasons why somebody can build a house without toilet, or build a house without adequate toilet, or toilet that are functioning. One, lack of enforcement. You could recall that during the colonial masters' day and of recent, when somebody submits a building plan to the development control, the first point of call is the officer or the office or the desk of an environmental health officer, who will look at the plan to look at the sanitary facilities of that building. How many toilets are they adequate for the number of people that are going to live in that place? What about the dimension, the position? For example, the toilet supposed not to share a partition or ward with a kitchen, especially in all these things are the function of environmental health officer in the development control. But today, that function has been removed from an environmental health officer because they feel that other people can do the work. If you get to the form, that form that's supposed to be signed by environmental health officer is no more there. They will just keep it and carry on. So for that reason, nobody look into the provision of the toilet of a building or the adequacy of that toilet, number of toilets, because we have a number of toilets to be provided to a building depending on the number of people that will live. For example, if you have a place you have 1 to 5 people, like women mix up, you have to provide at least a toilet. Once it's increased to from 6 to 15, you have to provide 2 toilets in the case of women. And in each 15 people added, you have to add 1 toilet. Before, in a place, people live up to 100 or working place, you need up to 8 toilets. Why? Because women can use toilet for both urination and toilet. But for men, it's not like that. If it's men, we provide urinals, we provide toilet. Their own is less. Maybe in every 30 added, you add 1 toilet. So all these parameters you look in a building are no more there because an environmental health officer has been denied of his work.
All right, now
again, sorry sir, some may have toilets, they are not adequate with the number of people living there. Others will be forced to go for open defecation. Sometimes you have toilets in all these public buildings, but locked up, no water to clean it up. And an average person going there find it, that's a cat, and of almost impossible to use it. We think of going to the bush. Those are the reasons.
Okay.
That.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, from the report we just watched, Nigerians are asking the government to provide mobile toilets. Do you think this is going to solve the problem of open defecation?
No, I don't believe that. As a professional, mobile toilets are used occasionally. For example, during the Koja in Nigeria, the number of toilets in the stadium will not be adequate because of the influx of people. Then you can employ the service of mobile toilet. It is for palliative. It's not to control this. But and one, again, it is quite expensive. And mobile toilet is not the end of toilet control or physics control, because you need other processes, either to evacuate it to a better place or storing and maintenance. So it may not be the answer to open defecation. And I want to tell you that in this point, I want to tell you that open defecation is not only when somebody goes out and squat. There are about 3 dimensions, 3 categories of open defecation. One, people that don't have toilet or enough toilet can go to the bushes around open places and squat. That is primary part of it. What about when you go to the town, especially in Abuja, you have what we call bleeding manhole that's supposed to carry the sewage to a treatment point. And those things are on the street. Maybe your safety tank is not adequately protected and it is spreading sewage in the environment. That's another part of open defecation. But that's secondary part of it because that is more dangerous than squatting. Then what about the people when they pick sewage from the places, they dump it in a river, raw? What about the people that channel, industry that channel sewage into a river where other people are using? Is that not open defecation? Mm-hmm. That is the most dangerous one because many people will be affected at the same time. Mm-hmm. That is the tertiary part of it, and it's more dangerous because people now can even use the water for drinking, or in fact, I have seen cases where raw sewage, what we mean by raw sewage as you pick it, no treatment, they use it to produce crops, like garden egg is what we call ready to eat fruit. Mm. So vegetables, all this and that. Mm. That's another open defecation that is dangerous.
Mm. All right, now talk to us about the implication of this, health-wise. I don't know if you could just touch on it, the implication of
open defecation. Okay, yes. One, open defecation. That's why I love the theme of today's toilet day. Mm. Is valuing toilet. Mm-hmm. Then the question is, why should we value toilet? By the time you value toilet and provide toilet, you will reduce the human contact to physics, which is the most dangerous one. You evacuate it in the right way through toilet. 2, you avoid the contamination of environmental media. What we mean by environmental media are 1, water, air, including food you eat, and the soil you match, the environment. So you will reduce the contamination of those media by the physics. 3, you will reduce the impact of disease, the spread of disease. Like today we are suffering from cholera, we are suffering from typhoid, we are suffering from all these things. They are as a result of open defecation. You can also reduce some disorders like malnutrition, stunting, and other things. You can also reduce the economic impact, because when you are suffering from disease, the next thing is to go to hospital, and doctor will handle the cause of all these things. Now, there is dignity in providing toilet. It provides privacy. It provides human dignity. It solves social and psychological problems once you have toilet. Therefore, we must value it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what negative effect does open defecation have on climate change?
Okay. Actually, I may say that it has, but not directly, because it depends on the quantity of physics on this. One, because we are told that, like you rightly say, 600 million, of which I think by now Nigeria is the highest in the world, because as at last year or 2 years ago, Nigeria was the second after India. But with proper calculation, considering the population of India to Nigeria, Nigeria is the highest open defecation. It can lead to climate change because of the chemicals contained in the physics, because we have a lot of chemicals. Because we are told that a gram of physics contain millions and billions of bacteria, viruses, all these things. They can lead to a kind of yielding all these chemicals into the environment. And some of them are like sulfur, other things, and it can, because when you are defecating open, you will also urinate open. So the chemicals contained there can affect the ozone layer, as we are told, and there will be climate change. What is climate change? Because we are experiencing improper heat and other things changing and this and that. Water, because the amount of sewage you deposit into water can make that water to dry up. And imagine a world where there is no river. Imagine a world where there is no all these things. You know what will happen.
All right.
So
now tell us what your organization or your agency is doing, to make sure that, this awareness is being created and, some of the laws that we have around these things are implemented. What is your agency doing?
Okay. My agency is a regulatory body. And we are in so many businesses to make sure that we train people and we regulate proper people to practice environmental health. So you find our people in the local government and the state. Those are the government levels that take care of sanitation in Nigeria. We make sure that the proper people, qualified people, are released into that. And again, we provide training for people, communities, and we also collaborate with other organizations, making sure that they listen. We also provide policies, regulations, guidelines to help our people in the field to actually practice. Every year we carry out a number of training to create awareness for this.
All right, now let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be continuing our discussion, on this World Toilet Day. Please stay with us.
All right, welcome back. We are still discussing the World Toilet Day, ending open defecation, and we have Dr. Andy Uka, Deputy Director, Environmental Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, giving us, some perspectives around that area. Now, do we have regulatory bodies, that are responsible for ordering or enforcing sanctions of people who practice open defecation?
Yes, we have. And most of the time it is based on local government areas and the state, because they are the custodian of sanitation. Actually, like in Abuja here, we have some agencies like Abuja Environmental Protection Board. They have environmental health officers. We have area councils who are supposed to have enough environmental health officers who will go about implementing all those through their daily inspection, implementing or enforcing the nuisances of lack of toilet. But the question is, are they doing the work? And are government of those levels empowering them to do the work? You will believe with me that in Nigeria we believe much on curative than preventive. And our work is based on preventive, taking care of the healthy people, going to them, trying to persuade them, trying to educate them. They need to have ABC in order to remain healthy. But sometimes they neglect their work and they prefer, when they are down, they run to a medical doctor, they run to a hospital, they give them injection, they treat them, they come back, they continue in the same process. We have those places, but again, we don't have a good enabling law. The law we are using in Nigeria is the law of 1950s. The local government and the state supposed to have enabling law that pronounce a good sanction, that's in monetary form or in prison form. But sometimes all those laws are upset, kind of old. And imagine where somebody will default in all these grave environmental defaults. You are charging, the law will spell out 1 shilling. So we have been, as a regulatory body in those days, that's 50s. Now we have been in the National Assembly for them to pass the bill on that's environmental health law, public health law. So once that is passed, I think we will have, because some of the times you go to court, you don't have the enabling law to back it. So we want that law to be passed so that the people in the field can have what it takes to have teeth and a biting teeth that can bite. So we are asking that. And again, the area councils and the states levels of government are supposed to implement all these things. They are not serious about prevention of this thing, because the work of an environmental health officer in abating nuisance follow a process. We call it enforcement. But what is happening in those levels now are what we call forcing people. Then they establish what we call task force. And those task forces are not taking the work, because most of them are not trained to do that. What they do is that, you did not this, and you have to pay 200,000 and this and that. That's not the issue, because the nuisance will remain there. But as an environmental health officer, you get a premises and there is no toilet, you serve abatement notice. And when you serve abatement notice, you check it up and serve again. The next thing is to take them to court. It's not that environmental health officer to enforce if they resist such abatement notice. You take them to court. From there, you have handed them over to court. But these days, even our court don't know the meaning of environmental nuisances or the implication. They will allow them to marshal out lawyers, and they keep on a kind of arguing. In environmental issues, you don't argue like that. Assuming now that there is a kind of chemical, somebody maybe has a chemical that is fast killing the people, and you take that person to court, will you need to delay it? No, there are supposed to be a judgment. We have the power to seal houses. But today, I want to point out that some of the things that are affecting the enforcement, the proper enforcement, are what I can refer to as political interference.
Okay, now you talk about laws that we use as a cake, at the moment. Maybe give us a sense of, the kind of sanctions that we have for defaulters at the moment, as far as open defecation is concerned.
Actually, the laws we have now are the laws derived from local government and states. Maybe they have improved their own to say maybe if you are caught defecating outside, maybe you have to pay, I'm just saying, for example, 5,000, then, or you go to prison, or both, something like that. So actually, we need to look at the sanctions based on each local government or based on each state. They're supposed to have their own law from which they will implement the sanctions on the defaulters.
Okay.
Yes, but it is the sanction on person defecating outside is not away from any other sanction from environmental.
Okay, so what are the kind of reforms that you are expecting in this bill that you are pushing for? Reform in the environmental laws that we have at the moment. What are the kind of reforms that you are advocating?
One of the reforms is that it should be, the environmental health officers should be allowed to perform their duties and also to have impact in the approval of building plans. Again, the penalties or the monetary aspect of those sanctions should be increased to meet up the modern time. Also, there must be establishment of facilities, because you don't penalize people when there is no provision of this. For example, when you go to in the town now, you see people, they are waiting for one job or the other. Some people are hawking. When they are praised, where do they go? We are talking about establishment of sanitation facilities, sanitary facilities,
World Toilet Day,
like public toilets at strategic points. When you are traveling, maybe you are traveling from here to Lagos, in every 2 hours, the cars are supposed to stop over. And when it stop over, do you have the facilities? In Abuja here, when you are going out, you don't need, you should have access to all these filling stations with enough toilet. Whether you want to buy fuel or not, you supposed to go there, easier, safe, and go away. All these shops, all these shop rights, whether you are buying something or not, the law permit that you can go there, easier, safe, and continue your journey. So those are the things we want to bring out, that all those things will be in place, and the environmental health officers will be empowered to do their work. So these are the reforms we are talking about.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us on the program today. Hopefully you will join us again another
Next
time.
Thank you.
All right. We've been speaking with Dr. Andy Uka. He is the did you say registrar, deputy registrar? All right. He is okay. So he is the deputy registrar, Environmental Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, talking about the World Toilet Day. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
All right. Yes. Now let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be having another guest, an interesting one.
Yes, a pencil artist, actually.
All right. All right. Stay with us.
latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the TrustTV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search TrustTV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story. Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the TrustTV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search TrustTV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. And now we have another guest in the studio. He is Abubakar Bashir. He is a pencil artist in the studio to talk to us about his, chosen career and how he is pursuing it, so far. Well, good morning, and it's good to have you join us.
Good morning, sir. Nice to have you too.
We're excited to have you. You have some works on display.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting from what we see. And, we had an artist earlier on also last week who talked to us about, the kind of things that inspires him and all of that. Take us through your own journey, coming from Kano all the way, for this interview.
Program.
It's quite interesting. What motivated you to do that, to go all the way?
Well, I would just say that I have passion in it. Because since when I was a kid, I see pencil and papers as my toys. So that's what actually motivates me. But I didn't even dive in to pencil art until when I was in level 3 in my university. That time when it was a lockdown period. Yeah, so you know how the lockdown was. It was. I would just say it was boring, because no going out, and you understand, everywhere is closed. So I'm all day at home. So that's what motivates me to.
So the lockdown turns out to be
exactly
a blessing.
A blessing.
A blessing to you.
That's exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Now, why the choice of pencil? I mean, you could have been, you could have been using any
colors.
As I told you earlier,
a painter and all that.
As I told you earlier, I started the artwork at home during lockdown period. So I think markets were closed. Then definitely I'm all alone with pencil and paper. That's what makes me to start, you understand, picking and starting the artworks with pencils alone. And that first time I was the one, how will I put it? I was the one that I'm buying the art tools by myself. So, and pencils are cheap. That's what makes me to, you understand, continue the career with pencils.
Okay. So could you talk us through about the acceptance of pencil artistry?
Seriously.
How has the acceptance been?
Seriously, it's hard. It's very, very tough, and it's challenging, because I'm still facing this trouble. The northern part of Nigeria, how it works. Some people will, you understand, judge you based on their culture, you understand. They will be like, stop doing these artworks. It's haram, you understand, and the rest. And what comes through my mind is, if you said this thing that I'm doing is not a correct thing, then why won't you give me a substitute? You understand? Yeah, that's what makes me that's my biggest challenge so far.
Okay. Now, how important is this to you, and what inspires you to keep on doing this?
Seriously, I started this as a fun, playing with pencils But I then later on come to realize that I can make a living in it, because I started this art career, I told you, when I was a student, and now I'm a graduate in economics department. And since when I was in final year, I started earning some bits of money. So, and I'm talking to you right now that it's the only thing that is supporting me financially. That's it.
Okay. So far, how many works have you painted, or have you sketched?
This is a tough question actually, because I draw almost every day since when I started this career. Because drawing, the more you draw, the more you become perfect in it. So that's what makes me to keep drawing day by day, day by day. I can say that since from the beginning, 3 years back till now, I draw at least with random sketches. The total I can't see, but they are heading to 500 pieces. Seriously.
All right. Now, what do you hope to achieve? Doing this. Doing this couple with what you're studying, geography and all that. What do you hope to achieve?
Okay. Well, the first thing that I wanted to achieve would be the acceptance of this art career in the northern part of Nigeria. Because that troubles me a lot, because we are going through a lot. Because since when I started this career, I haven't seen a single art exhibition in northern Nigeria, which is drawing us back. Because I would say art exhibition is one of the sources of income in this art career, and they are stopping the young artists there. And when you take a look at the eastern part of Nigeria and the west, you will see that these exhibitions are frequently taking place. So I believe if government put a little bit effort in making changes and opening new art galleries in that northern part of Nigeria, it would be of a great help. Then secondly, I would love to have my own brand, as in my own art brand, like pencil brand industry, so that you understand, the gross domestic products will increase in Nigeria, because I'm a citizen of Nigeria. Okay. Yeah, that's my goal.
So how long does it take you to draw, or rather paint? Okay. How long did it take you to draw this? Okay.
Well, drawing, for me, it depends on my mood and the art size. Okay. And for instance, this art size is all are small sizes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one, I think I will just squeeze and do it, let's see, 2 days.
Oh wow, that's fast.
Yeah, 48 hours actually.
Wow, that's fast. Is that Dimension?
Yeah, it's Dimension.
The singer.
Yeah, and that piece is try to show the emotional. If you take a look at the picture, you will see the emotional attachment in the picture.
Is that a baby?
You see the boy, as in crying. You can translate this art piece in different ways. If you take a look at it, you can describe the boy is crying, and you can even tell that you can just make this boy to be a nation. Let's say Nigeria. Understand? and all the.
I hope this is not Nigeria crime.
No, yeah, it's just an example. I'm just setting examples. You can,
a sign of a child in pain and
in pain and agony. So it might be a nation. Let's say a nation that faces inflation and raping and the rest. You understand? So it tries to show what the economy is facing, but this is actually not Nigeria.
Okay.
Well,
although we are having so much.
It could be. That's
all right. Okay, now how significant is arts, to national growth and development?
Well,
do you see this as a tool or an instrument that will bring about, national cohesion and all of that? And how best can we take advantage of it?
Well, if you take this art industry in other nations, let's say Paris, for instance, I would not say Paris depends only on artworks, but the gross national product depends solely, let's say 40% on artworks. The industry is big, and and it brings a lot of revenue when it comes to, there's a market that is in Paris, and if you go there, let's say if you go there for how will I put this?
Exhibitions or
no, tourism. Sorry, if many people go there for tourism, they will visit that market, and you sit there, and these artists, there are plenty of artists out there, like let's say 50 different artists. You will sit there, they will draw you, and you understand they are making a lot of money there. And apart from that, it can support youth. You understand? It can support youths, even if someone is not formally educated. If he's an artist, I believe he can sell his works, and also will try artworks really put youths together to rub minds in different part of Nigeria.
Okay, I know that Paris arts are quite very, very expensive.
They are.
So for your works, how much do you paint? Like something like this, how much do you sell this?
Yeah, contemporary Nigeria. You understand how things are. So you can't charge that much, because if you take a look at, I'm staying in the northern part of Nigeria, and when it comes to artworks, is the least place that is accepted in Nigeria. So seriously, the price is, I would say, is very low. Yeah, that's why I don't even I don't rely on selling my artworks in northern part of Nigeria 100%. I do sell them. You understand? Commission works for a family member wants to surprise the other member. He will ask me to draw and he will send me a reference picture, and I will draw it, and we begin. You understand? I would say that's the stable. That's the only stable way for an artist to survive in northern Nigeria. But thank God we have social platforms, and it's really helped my career so much, because there are a lot of platforms that you can sell your pieces for, like Etsy. Etsy is a platform that helps young artists to sell their works, and this work that you are seeing, I sell the print of it on Etsy, and not only for a single man. You understand? A lady in Saudi Arabia also purchases the print. Yeah, so with the help of social platforms and other platforms and websites, you might, you understand, succeed. And let's be and also for like me, I do sell my service online through some other platforms, like People Per Hour is an online platform that you can sell your service.
All right, now tell us about how you've been able to support yourself financially, doing pencil arts?
Okay, so I can say that, you know, due to we are not many in northern Nigeria, the artists, so I would say it's a great advantage for me to be a monopoly in the game. You understand? Because if you take a look at the northern Nigeria, you will see they are almost, I would just say 0.1% artists out there. So it gives me a great advantage to, you understand, collect different orders from different people, due to we are very little in the northern part of Nigeria. That's why I always call young youth to understand, try and learn a skills that is not plenty in an area, so that your market will sell a lot.
All right. Do you ever, consider your environment as a disadvantage? And do you think that there are opportunities where you are, or do you think that there's a need for you to change your location and all of that, and all of that?
Seriously, at first when I started the career, I was so disturbed about my area, because all the discouragements, the pressure, and many things hold me back, seriously. But some years passed, and I've gained much more experience, and then I realized that being in northern Nigeria and starting this art career in northern Nigeria is like a blessing, because you understand, we are very, very few in number, so it will be very easy to locate me. So my customers are always flowing. Thank God we have this social media, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp plays a great role in my career, seriously.
So where do you see your brand going in coming years?
Coming years?
A few years to come. What are the kind of heights you want to see yourself attain?
Wow. For like how many years?
Years to come.
5 years.
5 years?
3 years. Yeah.
From now to 5 years, I'm seeing myself as a teacher, art teacher.
Oh, you want to be an instructor?
Yeah, I want to open a school. You understand? That I can support my fellow northern Nigerian citizens, not even northern Nigerian citizens, all the Nigerian citizens. And also, as I told you earlier, I want to open a pencil industry.
Oh.
So I'm working on it currently against next 5 years to come. Inshallah.
Hopefully you get to have
much.
a feel of that when it eventually happens. Well, thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate your presence, for coming all the way from Kano for the Daybreak Show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate your coming. All right, we've been speaking with Abubakar Bashir. He is a pencil artist, and he's come a long way. So passionate about his craft, and well, you should find your way of supporting him. I believe.
Yes.
We need young chaps, to do better, to venture into new paths. This like a new path, for him that he's charting. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's take a quick break now, and then when we come back, the show will be wrapping up. Please stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the TrustTV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search TrustTV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, now we've come to that point where we'll have to say goodbye to our viewers. We've come to the end of the show. We had an interesting time on the show. In case you're just joining, well, you've missed quite a lot. But not to lose hope, you can always catch up on our YouTube and also on all our social media handles. It's been quite interesting. Today is World Toilet Day, and that's what we talked about. And we also, had a guest in the studio, Abubakar Bashir, who is a pencil artist, talking to us about his journey in a conservative society.
I picked a particular quote where he mentioned that all youths out there, go get yourself some skills.
Yes, very important. I mean, we live in a time of skills. It is skills that set you apart, really, not the certificate, not the educational certificate,
the first class or the 2-1 and all of that.
It's the skill driven. It's the skill driven, society that we live in today. So it's a challenge to you out there, in case you're still thinking and waiting for white collar jobs, as
they are not forthcoming. We must
always
say.
captured. All right, now my name is Ayuba. I hope to see you on Monday again on the show.
And I am Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for sticking with us.
Bye.